says there, Girdle Stanes.
Stanes, yes.
Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the bald explorer, out on another exploration, and this is part of the series I'm doing with Robert Croser.
Hello.
Hello Robert.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for joining me in the pouring rain.
Yes,
This is part of my exploration of Cumbria, only we're not in Cumbria.
we're not quite in Cumbria, no. We're over the border in Dumfries and Galloway.
In other words, that's Scotland, isn't it?
It is, yes, it is.
Now,
A slight diversion.
we're taking a trip to a monastery, which
Yes.
is going to be very exciting, but that's on another video, so watch out for that. On our way, we've come north on the A7, and now we're skirting along on whatever this is.
I'm not sure, it's a B road.
It's a B road through the Cheviots,
Cheviot Hills, yes.
which
yes.
is stunning. I mean, I know it's raining, but it has actually been quite stunning, but it's been wet and we've not been able to stop. We've passed Thomas Telford's father's church. Well, not his
Yes,
church,
where
but
Thomas Telford, the stonemason and what was he again?
he was a civil engineer. in
Civil
the end, wasn't he?
engineer, famous Thomas Telford, where his father is buried, and where Thomas Telford actually designed his father's grave stone and carved it. It's quite an emotional spot.
Yes, but now we have stopped at something called the Looping Stones and the Girdle Stanes.
Yes, it's a stone circle, and
It's another stone circle.
another stone circle, and it's another barrow. Girdle Stanes is probably a barrow, and the Looping Stanes is a stone circle. It's quite an atmospheric place because of where it is.
Yeah.
We're surrounded by thick forests and high hills and what have you, and it's virtually in the middle of nowhere.
So we're going to go and
quite
take a
big.
walk down there. Because it's raining, it's difficult to film without getting the camera wet. So we're going to try and take some photographs, and then we'll tell you a little bit about them.
We shall.
So I think we've got to cross this busy road.
My God, the traffic.
Yes, there's a lot of it,
Yes.
and it's just down here.
Ta-da.
Right.
Yes.
So, well, that's the stones. We've just gone down and had a look. We didn't take the camera. We got some pictures to play in. So the Looping Stones. It says on the board here, what are they? Could be an observatory to determine the sun, the moon, the stars, the time for sowing and harvesting. It also says it might be a ceremonial area,
Yes.
which so many of
maybe.
these things. I'll just get you to come that way a fraction,
Yeah.
and we get to see more value of you, sir.
Yes.
Or a burial or cremation site for members of the community. So who knows?
I haven't a clue. I mean, it's easy to guess these things,
Yes.
but
Full of speculation.
yes.
As we walked down there were cows. Now,
Yes.
the viewer knows I'm not great with
He
cows.
doesn't like cows, no.
I don't like them. They threaten me, and I feel a little bit worried. But you, sir, and I wish I had filmed it, the lovely Robert.
Yes.
He does a bit of that, and that seems to deter them, and they fled. They fled away. There's a couple of trees there I couldn't identify, which was annoying. We've got maples around us here, but the scenery, I wish it was a lovely day. We've got a beautiful view.
Even on a day like today, you can see a good 20 miles, maybe more, into the
Yeah.
distant hills there.
So it is amazing.
It is a beautiful part of the world.
Well worth
It's
coming
hidden.
and just wandering around on a day when you can access it, but obviously we can't today.
Yes.
Now we're going to this will please Julia. Where are we going?
Next, we're going to, for the lovely Julia, we are going to a fairy hill.
A fairy hill.
A hill that's supposed to be inhabited by fairies.
Well, we have braced ourselves for another trip into the rain. We've left the car at the monastery. What is
Yes.
the name of the monastery?
Kagyu Samhiling
Well
Buddhist monastery.
Now that's going to be in another video. If the camera work is a bit rubbish, let me just tell you that an umbrella similar to the one that Robert has the camera strapped to it with a bit of gaffer tape. Good old gaffer tape. So if it's a bit floaty, I apologise for that. But we're going to take a walk now up to Fairy Hill.
The Fairy Hill, yes, Hill of the Fairies.
And it's just up here, so
yes.
Let's go. After you, sir.
Certainly, certainly.
Do you know why it's called Fairy Hill?
Yes, I have. When I first came here a few years ago with my children, my daughter, who was a lot younger then, she was very much a believer in fairies and sprites and earth spirits and elementals, that kind of thing, and she told me that fairies have been seen dancing on the top of this hill, and I went, oh, give over. And she was adamant, so we went up here, explored around the hill, and it's actually called Fairy Hill. I took a few photographs, got them home, and there is something on the photograph. Now I'll let you judge for yourself when this video comes out what was taken.
Well, that would be
I
interesting.
can't explain.
And who knows, we might capture a fairy on the camera today.
Who knows, that would be nice for believers out there.
Yeah. Let's go and scramble up this rather interesting hill. It's surrounded by what looks like some form of pine trees.
Yes.
Here we're in Scotland, so or we've just come back into Northumberland, haven't we?
We're bang on the border.
We're bang on the border. How about that? Now it might be a bit slippery with these pines, but we're going to do our best to clamber up here with umbrellas between the trunks of these trees. On a very
It's quite
it is very slippery.
I remember my daughter climbing this and looking in these little holes.
Oh, and
they're
roots.
in there, Daddy. They're in there.
They're in there. Well, they've got to live somewhere, haven't
yes, quite so.
they? It's a little. Sorry about this. The umbrella is hampered by the branches, and the ground is slippy.
So it'll be a challenge getting down, but we're at the top more or less now.
And actually I'm feeling there's a slight breeze, and the breeze is pulling on the umbrella. So if you suddenly find that you you go up like that.
Mary Poppins.
Yes.
Who was a fairy, ironically.
And here we go.
Here we are at the summit. I mean, it's what, less than 100 feet high, would you say?
Oh, yes.
There's
Definitely.
offerings here. People have left offerings. There's painted stones. There's wind chimes.
And there's
Coins, bracelets.
and a lot of what they're Buddhist, aren't they? Buddhist monks.
Prayer flags.
Prayer. Oh, is that what they are? I was going to say sort of Buddhist bunting.
Prayer flags. Yeah.
I had not heard of prayer flags before. I'm just going to come round this side, try and bring the camera through, and then duck under like this, and try and get a bit of a better view. Here we go. It's a dumpy little hill.
It is.
But it's
probably why it's known as a fairy hill, because from what I know of fairy lore, they're supposed to live in hills like this, and going back a few hundred years, people believed that fairies lived in old barrows and cairns and low hills. I mean, this hill's kind of out of character with the area, so they naturally thought, oh, fairies live up here. But the more I've dug into it myself, people have seen lights and stuff up here, and it's eerie. It's the only word.
Eerie.
Yeah, it's the only word I could
describe.
It's eerie.
Well, that's the Fairy Hill. Sorry, it's a little bit vague.
It is.
It's a bit vague because the weather hasn't been great. But we're going to a monastery in the next video, so I hope that will be a little bit more interesting. Thank you for taking me to the Standing Stones. They were on our way, and the fairy tree. And if you've seen a fairy in the background, then do let me know. You never know what you've seen.
Yes.
But for this video, we've run out of time. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next. From Robert and I, goodbye.
Ta-ta.
Ta-ta.